Hello and welcome to Bendy, a podcast about being flexible and all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young, and I'm one of your calamitous, recuperated hosts. Joining me, as always, is our other calamitous and recuperated host, Beth Martin. Beth, a pleasure as always. What's the crack?
Sometimes you do these and I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? What does
hmm
calamitous mean?
Like,
How do you
I
spell
like.
calamitous?
It's like so. Like calamitous is like you're a calamity Jane.
Yeah.
So the calamitous is like an extension of that. So like, I'm wondering is chaotic too strong? But you know what I mean in that area.
No. Yeah. Well,
But
I
I
don't
think
know. Like, I should know this, but like, did Calamity, assuming Calamity Jane is like an American Western lady.
yeah, she's in oh no, because I was in the no, she's in there's a show called Comedy Jane because that was I'm pretty certain there's a show
Cause
called
like
Comedy
there's,
Jane. That was the one that I was in. I will be
and there's like
oh no, have I lost you?
woman sharpshooter. Cause like, I feel like I remember going to the Santa Monica Pier and they have like an arcade that has a shooting game where you have like the rifles
Yep.
and you shoot the like they have like animatronic animals that you shoot and it says like Calamity Jane's over it. So that makes sense. Okay.
Yes, I think like because I looking it up here, I lost you for a
hmm
second there, so there might be people may
Oh,
have been
okay.
going, did I lose you? No. We'll see if I cut that out. We'll see if I don't.
We're
It might
doing
still
this
be in there.
across the
Yeah,
ocean,
we
you
are,
guys.
folks. Give us a
So
break, all right?
give us a
Um,
break. Stop yelling.
yeah, so like I think it's like a famous kind of musical from the 50s and like so like this is the one that I was in school,
hmm
my school production
Oh,
I was in. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
a musical?
Yes.
Really? Do you remember any of
Mhm.
the songs?
So it has there's no business like show business is the big one from
Oh,
it.
okay.
Um
How do I not know that?
yeah, like what is the other one? So like I had the opening song, but I couldn't tell you what it is.
That's okay.
Um But yeah, this is the one that like I think I've told you before. That's like there's a fabled videotape of this that like a lot of my friends are desperate to see because like and I think I might have even send you the picture of me in costume for this. I don't know.
No, you have not. I would remember that. You sent me some weird stuff, but not
Oh yeah, I
that.
sent you some weird stuff. That's right. Hey, it's all above board the stuff that I've sent Beth. But
Mhm.
um
It's like, here's me. Like my favorite, I think is one of your favorites too, but it's like you and I don't know, kindergarten.
mhm.
And it's like everyone else is wearing normal clothes and you're wearing your Superman
Superman outfit.
pajamas.
Yeah,
And you're like, which one's me? And I'm like, I know which one's
yeah,
you.
yeah. Like there was
I
any
know,
doubt.
right? I'm, you know, on topic, on
hmm
brand. I just like I've been not feeling well, and I've been
Yep.
complaining about not feeling well now for what, like 5 months? It's almost May, so I'm gonna call it 5 months. So I am interviewing stem cell places down in Tijuana, and I'm gonna head down next week to get a treatment. Feels a little like giving up, but also like I'm really excited because I know this works for my body and I'm like
Yeah.
excited to feel better and have energy and not be like I couldn't remember Mr. Rogers' name
Okay.
the other day. I was looking at a photo of him and I'm like, who the like what is his name?
Yeah.
And I couldn't get there. And like for me, like my short-term memory is usually the thing that's affected. And now it's like eating away at my long-term memory again. And I'm like, all right, fuck this shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Something's
Like
got to
of all
give.
the people to remember, it's
Yeah,
Mr.
sure.
Rogers.
Yeah,
So, so that was my that's the straw. That was the straw.
that's fair. That's fair. And it's just
Yep.
getting and like I was and we were talking about it as well before, and I'm happy that you have a plan in place, so I think it's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
It'll be
no.
interesting too, because like I've done the fly down to Guadalajara,
Yep.
and this will be like really like it's very much like Mexican tourism where they want to
Yep.
like give you an accommodation and they want to pick you up and give you a medical pass to get through, across the border, but like with the
Uh-huh.
border being what it is, uh like I
Oh,
have my passport, I have global entry, but I'm a little nervous.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Global entries, you that yeah. express lane looked very handy. Um,
Yeah,
no, I can only imagine. I was about to like jokingly go, wait, there's something going on with the border.
I know, right?
And then it's like, I'm not even gonna, let's not even touch that subject, shall we?
No, 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 no. Anyway,
Um,
so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'll give
okay.
you an update next
Yeah.
time we talk, but I'll hopefully be on my road to feeling not weird all the time and gross all the time. I've been like sleeping in. Like, well, Mike was out of town last week, so I was like getting up with the kids, dropping them off, and then going back to bed until like 10 a.m.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and then like napping through in the day. I'm just like, I can't. This is not a life right now.
Yeah,
So,
that's fair. That's fair.
how are
Okay. No,
you?
I'm not too bad.
Don't lie.
I mean, like, I mean, like, as good as always, let's put it that way. But we'll touch on it more in today's topic.
Mm,
So a few things since I last saw you that I wanted to bring up, which was that I saw Sinners.
okay. I was like, you're so hip to things. Like
Hmm.
I had to Google it and then like I was looking at the tomato meter on Rotten
Yeah.
Tomatoes and I was like, oh, this is like a thing.
Yeah.
So please let me know what you think.
I thought it was excellent. Like I really did. It was really moody. It looked spectacular. Like I think that like they make really interesting films. Like I really loved the first Black Panther.
Mhm.
I I like the Creed trilogy generally. And I think like
I couldn't get into the Creed trilogy.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
It just really worked for me. But like
But I
Ryan
love
Coog,
Michael B. Jordan.
yes, he's incredible. And like, you're getting, bang for your buck with Sinners because he's in it twice as twins.
Oh wow.
Yeah, right. Um, but like it was really great. And again, it was more. I want to say with my girlfriend, she said it compares to like From Dusk Till Dawn in an interesting sort of way, and I think that's a good comparison. Now it's definitely its own thing, but I think that's a good sort of jumping off point, and it's not quite as like ridiculous and over the top as From Dusk Till Dawn, but
All
that's a fun,
Quentin Tarantino movies.
right? But like,
Not that I don't like me some. I actually don't like Quentin Tarantino, but
well, I think that's a Rodriguez movie. I think he just
oh
stars in that one, as
right.
far as I know, and
No,
Robert
I think he
Rodriguez.
wrote it.
You could be right.
I
Yep.
I think he wrote it because I saw some meme the other day that was like, don't forget that Quentin Tarantino wrote the script where because everyone says he's like got a foot fetish.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm going in all these weird directions.
Yes.
And like he wrote the script and the scene where like the lady's pouring the tequila
Yeah, yeah,
down
yeah.
her
Some
leg and
Hanks.
he's got to
That's true.
drink it off the toes and then cast himself as
Yeah,
the guy that gets to suck the toe.
that's a good point. It's a very, very good point.
So I think
You're right.
he's
He
more
did. He did the
involved.
screenplay. Rodriguez
Yeah.
directed it. He did do the screenplay. That
Okay.
makes a ton of sense. Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's quite all right. But yes, Sinners, good movie, fun time in the
Okay.
movies. It is more of a horror movie than I thought it was going to be, and genuinely
Mm.
kind of like some really kind of creepy and cool imagery, but really kind of yeah, a really fun time at the movies, I thought. Um, so I've been playing. I might have talked to you about it before. Like, I'm on a real um
Yes.
board game roll at the minute,
And all I
and
can think of is The Simpsons, but yes.
yeah,
Monorail.
I'm on a rail, and I we go back into there's a legacy board game we've been playing called Ticket to Ride, and basically one of our number very selfishly he and his wife decided to have a baby, and
How
right,
dare they?
unbelievable. So we were unable to kind of like finish off this campaign we've been running. We were like played sort of a few games of it early last year, and he's basically been he hasn't been available basically for the guts of a year. We finally got not our final not we I was hoping to finish it off this past weekend, but we got a few more games of it played, and we got it out of those kind of done. And it is nice. I do really like these ongoing things. I kind of hate them also because like if you do terribly to begin with, which I have, then you're like, well,
You're stuck in
what's the
that.
point?
Yeah.
But still lovely sitting around
You're
the table
Debbie
with people.
Downer.
Yes,
Wah,
very much.
wah.
So why am I doing this? The way I'm also here's one of the main things I'm delighted about. The box is massive, and I am
Ooh.
excited to get it out of my house. So that's coming
Aha.
soon. Because like as anybody who watches
Face.
these. these videos can see I have a board game storage problem, right?
Yeah.
So what I don't need is
Like
another massive box.
we're waiting. Everyone is waiting who watches the videos for it's some time when we're recording, the whole thing's just gonna fall over on
Oh,
you.
please don't. I mean, like,
And I'll be like, I can't help you. How
what a
do I
way to.
call 911 in Ireland?
I'm like, just leave me here to die, please.
I know.
But yeah. So yeah. So those are the things that have been happening with me over the past wee while.
hmm
Do
I feel
you?
like I haven't seen you in a while, but like we recorded last week, didn't
Yeah,
we?
we did record last week. I'm pretty certain
That's
we did.
weird.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's been a weird week. So maybe that's what it is. Um,
Hmm.
so do you have any what's occurring for this week?
I don't.
Okay. So I have one, and it's like, here's my hope. It's going to put to bed this whole issue that we've been talking about, I feel like over a handful of episodes. So our mutual friend who has written into us multiple times about the whole Tom
Yes.
Morello situation,
Yes.
he says that he did not claim that Tom Morello wasn't in Rage Against the Machine. He said that he was their guitarist, not their bassist. Does that ring true to you at all?
I'm gonna go back to my
Your mind, you're just check.
I gotta check my mind palace really
So I think he just, wanted to set the record straight. He's not
quick.
insane. He knows Tom Morello wasn't raised against the machine. Just his quibble was with the position in the band that he has. They're still an ongoing concern, right? This is
Okay,
one for me to look up.
so I will
Let me
say
check my
Tom.
math files.
Okay. Yeah, no. Okay, I'll take that. That's fine.
Yeah, they're still
We
going.
can we
Okay,
can
okay,
our mutual friend can be right.
okay, fine. Yeah. I hope you're happy with
This one
yourself.
time. This one
I
time.
know you're listening. I hope you're pleased with yourself. All right, perfect. Okay.
Actually, I do have one. So our mutual friend was also it was uh when I was talking about Orpheus
Uh-huh.
and like somebody else and I couldn't remember. They were like I was in the supermarket wanting to scream out loud. It was Orpheus and Eurydice. I'm sure
Yeah.
I'm saying that wrong. Uh so
I think we understand what
thank
you're
you for
saying.
thank I yeah, but I did ask for help and we were offered a lifeline, so thank you.
That's good. That's good. So always good to hear from our
Love it.
friends. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It is.
All right, great. Shall we move on to the topic for
Hmm.
this week, which is
Hmm.
crisis and recovery, which I think is meaningful for both of us, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Feel like it's timely.
it is timely. Is it timely just for us, do you think, or timely for the world?
I think it's timely for the world.
Mm,
And it just kind of like just the way like it's like everything is crazy right now.
right,
Uh whether it's, whatever that means for people, if it's good crazy or bad crazy, it's definitely we're living in times that are uh different. And I'm not
right.
trying to say end times or, you know, Armageddon, but
Yes.
it just it's
I think
it's like when 60 minutes is like part of when I guess, do you guys get 60 minutes?
no, I would think,
Okay.
well, I was gonna say I would think most people over here would be aware of it, but I
It's
have a
like a really
weird
big
brain. Yes.
journalistic uh show. It's on once a week and it's like kind of like is it the Boston Herald?
Hmm.
The Boston Globe. I don't know. Anyways, it doesn't matter. But it's like there are certain news sources that really try and take like personal feelings out of it and they report based on like high journalistic standards. And I guess Paramount media is trying to buy out who they own CBS, which hosts 60 Minutes, and basically like they fired the executive director of 60 Minutes, who's been the executive director for like 40 years,
Uh-huh.
quit because of this merger, and they're feeling like their journalistic integrity is being put to the test. So it's weird times. Anyways, um, so I think when the world is in crisis, right, it brings up crisis for everyone, and it also like highlights the crises that we've lived through. And like, I don't know, I just feel generally like uneasy.
That makes sense. Like, and I certainly think that it is something. I mean, this obviously affects the rest of the world, and everybody has their eyes on it. I mean, the US in particular is such a sort of like, you know, figurehead, I think, in all things. So whenever we see the lack of stability that's going on there in a number of different areas, specifically as we are talking right now, like tariffs, for example, is deeply destabilizing across the world.
Are
You
you
know,
guys getting like there are commercials now? Like I was
Mhm.
watching a car commercial the other day and they were like I think it was a Nissan commercial. And they were like blah blah blah, and like these bells and whistles and they were like without tariffs and I was like holy shit. So it's like I'm starting to see like businesses that are like buy now before like because prices are going to go up
Yeah,
because of tariffs. So it's like this is all happening and I guess China has stopped shipments here.
I've heard this.
So
Yeah,
like the port of LA, like all of they don't have work to do essentially because you know, all the shit from China isn't coming over.
it's.
Our
I mean,
Timu.
our Timu. I saw that. I've been seeing some people's like Timu, shopping baskets and like the cost after tariffs, and people are losing their minds, and it's like,
Mhm.
dudes, what did you think? Or also like the one in particular because it was like there is some sort of ludicrous tariff on solar batteries and solar panels in general. So like somebody ordered a solar panel and it was, in the region of like 70 or $80, and with tariffs it was like 1,400. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Well, and I guess Amazon, you know, because they're probably the biggest seller of things in the States. Like, I don't know if it's as popular in the UK, but like, or in Northern Ireland, but um, they're saying they want to put the tariff amount on the purchases so
I've
that you
heard
can
about
see.
this.
And the administration is like super pissed. Like, how could you do that?
How
So we'll
how could
see.
you clearly show the thing that we put into
Yes,
place?
yes, yes, yes.
Wild,
So
absolutely
it's just
wild.
crazy. It's
It is
crazy.
crazy.
And like I read the other day that like in the States, 74% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. And like I'm like, we are, yeah. So
Uh,
our grocery bill was like $1,000 last week.
oh my word. Oh my word.
Crisis. I know, right?
Yeah, that's deeply upsetting. Okay. Yeah. So fun, everybody, right? Woohoo!
Whee! Woo!
Yay!
Yay, let's do the wave.
We're having a crisis. Um, and I think that is, can we like, I mean, I suppose we already have started talking about it. I mean, it would be good to like talk about what that means on the global scale, but also,
Yes. So can I give
Mhm.
you the definition? So life crisis is an umbrella term using to describe a person's psychological response to major life events or changes. It's a defines it as a time of distress and major adjustment associated with significant life experience, like a divorce or the death of a family member. I kind of agree and disagree with that. I think crisis can be smaller than that too. I don't think it
Yep,
necessarily has to be like I felt all the range of the crises, right?
absolutely.
Um, but I think it's like I think obviously like the death of a family member is something that is, you know, on a scale of its own, but I think when you have like five or six crises happening at the same time, that's heavy too, you
Yeah.
know? So,
It, I know I totally know what you mean, and I think it's interesting because like throughout the week since we've like since you suggested this topic, I have been thinking about it and what that means for me, both in terms
me
of like
too.
thinking about it as a global scale, but also thinking
Yeah.
about it as how it relates to me and how I like
Yeah.
process things.
Yeah.
Um, but like I think so like I think I would like to talk about that, in terms of the personal side of it. But like I think what's interesting but I think what I'd like to touch on a wee bit more about the kind of this idea of it in a global scale first.
Mhm.
And like I think it is interesting that like in that sort of definition it does talk about specific like flashpoints, I guess. But like I feel like certainly in my experience and what I've kind of seen that oftentimes these things will like not be so much a flashpoint as much as they are a gradual build. Yes, disasters, for example, are a flashpoint, and I understand that is a very real flashpoint sort of crisis. But the crisis that we are in currently, the world's kind of in currently, economically and all sorts of different things, was very much a slow build, and like,
Yeah.
it's seemingly it, it is interesting whenever you kind of see the kind of patterns that like humanity goes through.
Hmm.
And like how they seem to like settle into the same sort of grooves time and time again. Like we see things becoming better or becoming like better for a wider group of people. Some people feeling the strain because of that, because inevitably change will kind of impact people. Somebody coming along saying, that's these people that are doing this to you. I will solve all your problems. Them taking the reins and then them just driving everybody off a cliff essentially, and us having to recover from that. And I feel like we are very much in that stage of it right now.
Hmm. Yeah, and I would agree with that. And I think it's been a slow build, but all of a sudden I feel like things are speeding up very quickly.
Yes.
And it's like, and maybe that's, this is like the crest of the slow build wave. And now, the wave's hitting and we're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Here we are. Um, and I think, it's like I, because, I know we talk shit about the internet, we talk shit about social media, but I'm grateful for it right now because I'm able to see things on a global scale.
Yes.
And I'm able to see, the impact that whatever's happening here impacts other places, and what's happening at other places, impacts everything, right?
Yep.
Um, and I wish more people would look at it that way.
Yeah. Like to me, I mean, like, and I feel like I am an eternal pessimist to be honest with you, but like even
Mhm.
like I feel like
Same.
right, I know, but like
Love it.
right, I know, isn't that amazing? What a way to live. But like I feel like I'm already starting to see things that are heartening to me. Like um certainly the Canadian elections, I think were positive and a
Yeah, that
positive
happened yesterday.
and a real rejection of, a lot of this really sort of like populist sort of bullshit that has
Mhm.
been like permeating the planet. Like I feel like I am definitely starting to see like I mean, yes, it's cropping up everywhere and it's always like heartbreaking whenever you see like far right Nazi movements springing up in Germany. And like, again, it's like, dudes, that wasn't even 100 years ago. Like, can we
I know.
really think about this? Like, really analyze it? But like so like and I think in other countries as well, I mean I feel like all too often what represents the opposite of that tends, or not the opposite of that, but politically what represents the antidote from that tends to like resemble it more than I would like. If that makes sense, I suppose to kind of speak more clearly, I find that left-wing parties that tend to do well tend to have to become more centralized to kind of take power a lot of the time. There's a lot
Mhm.
of crying about, woke and socialism and things like that. But I feel like, very socialist movements tend to never get that close to power all too often,
Agreed.
you know.
Agreed. And it's like, the parties are set, and as much as, we would like to open it up to more parties, like that's not, it's just, that's not going to
No, it's
happen.
not gonna happen. No, it's not. Not.
So, and,
Um,
and and maybe, if we just drive this thing until the point where it really, really breaks, then it will happen. But it's like the destruction that will have to get from here to there is, I can't even
this
imagine, I
this is
guess.
this is what's I think the really scary thing about it, and I feel like there's no because like I think, and maybe this has always been the case, but I feel like in recent years of my life that the fact that you can just say a thing and it doesn't
It's
matter.
true.
It's true, yeah.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter if there's anything backing it up whatsoever. As
Mm-mm.
long as it like
Mm-mm.
confirms somebody's bias in a way, it is set in stone, true. And that's so scary. That's such a scary thing to exist out there that I mean, I think I've talked a little bit about it before, but you know, humans are so easy to manipulate, I think, and I include
I
myself in
agree.
that too.
Yes.
But I
Yeah.
think that a lot of people think that they're not. And I feel like whenever you deny the possibility of that, you're wide open to it. You've got no defenses for it when it's happening to you, you
Mhm.
know?
I think, and we're both cynical,
Yeah.
and I kind of think of that as being like a superpower
Yeah.
because, being critical, if you add the word thinking onto that, if you're a critical thinker,
Yeah.
right? Then the odds of like, deciding to join a cult or whatever, like are probably lessened.
Yeah.
And I think that the cult of personality is like, it's a thing right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that it also kind of takes us back to your topic, which is, those sorts of things, people who join cults and stuff like that, I think often go to those places when they're in a time of crisis and they're looking for answers and
Yes.
they're vulnerable
Yes. Yes.
and, they can be more easily shepherded into those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Um, I just need to start my benevolent cult that I've been talking about for ages. It's just
I
I've
know.
got so much on my plate.
You're like, I'm just so busy.
I'm so busy. I don't know where I'm going to find the space for this benevolent cult. Um, it would be the only cult where the cult leader doesn't try to sleep with all the people in the cult. Just
Right.
wants everybody to be looked after and have a nice time. But I mean, like, I would just end up doing too much work and having cascading nervous breakdowns, so
Yes.
maybe I'll not bother. We'll see how it goes. Um, so yeah, so I mean, I think that I have an awareness in talking about this that I don't want to be like too much of a downer for the whole friggin' episode. But like I do think, despite being cynical, I do think there is the opportunity for recovery on a global scale. I think there are signs of that everywhere. I think there is still, and I think good's a really trite word, but I think there is still good in the world. I think there are still people who give a shit, and people at like high levels who give a shit. So like I think optimistic might be going too far, but I feel like we have a chance of like navigating out of this um before things get too terrible. So, but we'll see.
I don't know how I feel. I don't know when it's like Mike, my husband, he's a geologist, and that
Mhm.
I've talked about how like when you look at things like on a geologic time scale, it's a lot different.
Yes.
And sometimes I'm like, okay, just look at it like that way, and none of this really matters, right? At the end of the day, like we're probably not going to be here for that much longer.
Yep.
But also like I gave birth to kids, and so I have to think through like what does like getting back to kind of like I guess what I had in my childhood and certain rights I had
Yep.
as a child. Sorry, there's a military aircraft going over my house right now, so if you can
Fine.
hear it,
No.
yay, it's not an earthquake, I think. It, I just I am optimistic. I just think getting back to where things are more steady and stable, it's going to take decades,
Yeah, I think you're right.
you know.
I
So
think yeah, like I saw even there's a I think there's a guy called Jamel Bowie. I think he writes for Washington Times, something like that. But he does
the
like
post
uh,
maybe.
Post maybe, yeah,
Okay.
probably whichever one isn't insane. And he,
Mm.
well, yeah, sorry, the least insane of the two. But like no, for the New York Times, apologies.
Okay.
So, and he, does a lot of political stuff, but he also like he appears in a lot of like dumb podcasts that I listen to because he just likes He's a smart guy, but he's also funny and curious, and so he has a certain amount of crossover, but he's got a great kind of Instagram presence where he's like, look, yes, things are really bad. This is probably the impact we're going to look at, but here are maybe not some of the ways out of it, but like here are some of the things that might be worth doing in terms of leading towards a more positive path,
Hmm.
and he doesn't like pull any punches, but he doesn't make it seem quite as grim as I think it could do potentially.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so I think, as I say, he's just somebody, obviously, American politics doesn't directly affect me, but I think it does affect the world. And he's somebody who I have watched, and he has kind of given me, you know, a tiny ray of hope.
Good. I guess like do you find that what's happening in the world impacts how you feel generally and like the things that you're dealing with like in your personal life?
Yes, but also like I think I had to. I remember like when I was, geez, I don't even know what age that I just wasn't interested in politics at all. And people were like, you should be interested, you should check it out. And it's like, okay. And I made a real interest, or made a real effort to learn a bit more about it. But I soon found that it really is brutal on your mental health following politics. It really is. So I have had to just do the best I can at just kind of taking in some knowledge here and there, like sort of, not fully into the full shotgun blast of news, but also not being completely ignorant about stuff as well. So, which is tough to balance because I think it shreds my mental health if I'm fully immersed in it.
Hmm. I'm fully immersed in it. Like I follow, I just saw Amazon is not going to post tariffs.
Oh, of course they're not.
Right. So like things are changing. I mean, and maybe it's just like the timing and where we are in the States, but like with things in the States, but um it's ha all changing and happening so fast that I feel like a duty to kind of know what's going on in real time.
Yeah.
And I'm following politics in Mexico, politics in Canada, and like everything basically, around the world. And I, it probably does impact like my overall mental state. I
Hmm.
also have time on my hands. Like like got afternoons or, like I'm just like, I gotta lay down, and
Yep.
I don't always want to sleep. Sometimes I don't want to watch Bravo.
What?
Housewives, right? No, right? It's true, Andy.
Well,
But so I follow politics because I'm bored
yeah.
and I could probably find better things to do with my time or other things,
Yep.
not better, but like other things to do that are more balanced. Um, like reading or, doing art or something. But it's just, I don't know. I don't know what like biological adrenaline, dopamine
Yep.
button that's being pushed, but
Yeah.
it's
No,
just it's so crazy right now, Andy.
I was gonna say yeah, I can understand that, but as I say, as long as it's not completely shredding your mental health, then that's
No, yeah.
okay.
And I
That's
don't think
good.
it is. I think I'm able because of, I've got my super cynic cape. I'm able to kind of sort through the bullshit a little
Okay.
bit.
Okay.
Um,
Should
but I
we?
guess like
Uh,
ho- I was thinking like how do we get through? Like how do you
um,
move through crisis to recovery?
personally,
Hmm.
okay, so yeah, because that's exactly what I was gonna say. Like, shall we pivot over to like talking about what this means at a personal level?
Yeah. Or like
I
what crises like you've found that are happening right now, or like things that are coming up from the past, maybe.
It's interesting because we've been talking about this, and I said to Beth, and it's something I've been thinking about a lot, and I've been having conversations about a lot, where it's like I feel that I am in a pattern in my life where I am in crisis for a long time or building towards it, like really kind of burnt out, stressed out and just existing in that space basically all the time.
Hmm.
until I pop.
Hmm.
How that manifests has been in like possibly panic attacks, something that resembles that. Um, Meltdowns, things like that. And then I have to take like a drastic step back. And like I don't want that to be the case. I really don't. I really don't. But like I just don't know how to. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how to do it differently. So it's something I really struggle with. And I really don't want it to happen again, but I feel like it is very inevitable um for me currently.
So we were talking about this off pod a little bit, but
Yeah,
like, talking about when you quit your full-time job because you were completely burned out and
yeah,
sad and depressed and like, you know, you wanted to clear your calendar to be able to have life experiences and fun and play and all of those
yeah,
things. And it's like I feel so it's almost a year since I visited you,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And a year ago-ish, like I was like, you're so busy.
yeah,
Like you're so busy. And it's not like you're doing, repetition on anything. Like your life is chaotic.
yeah,
And I can't, I can't imagine what that feels like all the time.
yeah.
Because like
It's
I have worked hard to de-stress, and that means I don't talk to anyone. Like
yeah,
I moved, blah
yeah,
blah blah. Now I don't recommend that for everyone. It was like it was like necessary in order to like survive
yeah,
and my health and all that. But like for you, I don't know. Like I worry, I guess.
yeah. I think yeah, people and I know people do, but like I just don't know.
Are you a workaholic?
I think I probably am, yeah. I wish
Mhm.
I was one of those fucking workaholics that was rich as shit though. Do you know what I
I
mean? That would
know,
really,
right? A CEO that gets up at like 4 a.m. and
yeah,
they
I
make
mean,
like $3 billion.
like that would be nice. That would certainly take some of the fucking pressure off, but instead I'm just like I'm a workaholic and I'm poor as fuck, you know. So like what the hell?
And
But
and for you too, it's like there's a fine line between like being lonely and not doing things,
yes.
right? And getting lost in your own thoughts and not
Yeah.
having enough to do and like what that like you need to be busy, but there's a line between busy and too busy. And it's
It's
like
true.
if you could find that every so often.
Yes. It's like I have found that I don't like being stressed out and too busy, but
Hmm.
it's often the better alternative than being inside my own head for
Hmm.
extended periods of time. Like my thoughts inevitably go to a negative, bad place if I do kind of like step outside of that. So I think that's why I'm just like pilot on, and it's like if and it's almost an impulse, and it's like it's kind of one of the frustrations is that like I talk about this a little bit, and they're like, "Oh, you're so good, and you're so kind," and I'm like, I don't know. There's an element of that, I'm sure, but like also I'm kind of like if I see somebody's having a hard time or like and there's something that I can do about it, of course I'm gonna do it. And it's like just pile it on because like I'm already well past breaking point, you know what I mean? So like why not just kind of keep going with that and see how far we can go. Which is
Until
not
you can't go
healthy.
any farther.
Yeah, it's not
No,
healthy at all. I
no.
I was having a really tough time last week with it and there's a song, I think I've talked to you about this before. There's a song in Encanto called Surface Pressure. And like that song speaks to me on such a like on every level. So I just like listen to it and have a cry
Okay.
to
Well,
help
I
it.
mean, that's good.
It's a processing agent, so like there's value there. But like it's also just, I've talked as well about some people, get frustrated with me whenever I'm like taking things on and they're like, well, why don't you delegate? And then I delegate and like not with everyone and some people I can really rely on and count on, but I feel like they are the exception rather than the rule is I'll delegate to people and I'll be like, this is off my plate. I don't need to think about this. and then they will not do a good job, not do the job at
Mhm.
all, and then I end up having to do it last minute, which I hate. I really hate having to do something last minute. Like I would much rather get out of the way. It's much more stressful for me if I'm like, here's a job, it needs to be done immediately, you know.
Mhm.
Um, so and it's like we've talked about this with the choir and how when it's like so much easier to just do the thing because I know I'll do the thing, I know I'll do it properly, and it'll be done
Mhm.
than hand it over to somebody else, them not do a good job, or them to like leave still so much of it in my hands.
I guess like what would be the worst thing that would happen, right?
Yes.
Like if we want to catastrophize,
Yeah.
it fails. The concert
This
doesn't happen,
yes.
right? Which is like, I guess, like, is that the end of the world?
No, it's not. And
But
it's
you would
certainly
feel
I
bad.
would feel awful about it, yeah. And I would
Yeah.
and it's so funny because
So it is the end of the
it
world.
is the end of the world, for
Yeah,
me.
that's okay. That's okay.
It is, but like it's just because I would feel the weight of that responsibility, and
Hmm.
even though like I would have had done successful ones in the past and so on and so forth, I just like, and it's why like I think that with this there was no way I could really step back and just be in the background. I don't think there's any way I could just do that. I would have to be intimately involved, and I would continue being intimately involved unless I was completely like, I'm cutting this off immediately. I'm walking away.
Hmm. I think the thing I worry about is like what happened to me, where I was like so busy, doing all the things, a total workaholic,
Yeah,
living my life in 15-minute increments. And then I broke my body, right?
yeah,
I didn't break my body. I got long COVID. That's not my
yes,
fault, but like
no,
my little voice is like it's your fault.
yeah,
Like if you hadn't pushed yourself so far, right? Um, then you'd be fine. So Andy, it's your fault.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. You'll not
Not
hear any
really. But
arguments
like
from me.
I guess like I do worry that like you're gonna push yourself to the point of breaking and then like what is like for me broken was broken
Yeah,
and I still can't fix it. And I don't want that for
yeah,
you.
no, this is true. I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of interesting because like I end up in conversations with people and they worry about me and they want me to like slow down, but it's very rare that like they still want me to do the thing that I'm doing with them. Do you know what I mean? And like
Yes.
and I
Yeah.
get it and I kind of want to too, but like
Yeah.
I don't know where there's wiggle room there at all. I mean
Mhm.
like and a lot of these things are really kind of nourishing to me and I love them, but it's just like I just don't know how to like navigate that at all.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um
I wonder like, you know, can you schedule like we've talked about like could you just like I remember you had the part-time job on the weekends and
yeah,
that meant you couldn't like hang out with friends and you tweaked that
yeah,
um and added things in that place in those places, right? Because you're Andy.
yeah.
But like I wonder if you can just like like schedule time that's that you're not doing anything.
Um Probably not. Like
Like you've got no time for like magic to happen, you know?
yeah, I know this is so true. It's like there is slightly more potential for that, I think. Since I've, stepped down from the choir, it feels like there is, and like I feel like the summer is going to be quieter. But like I am
Good.
also kind of aware that as soon as the choir, you know, finished, just so many other things kind of got pulled in to fill the vacuum, and any kind of like, downtime was just filled with other things that like I either want to do or like, that I am doing that that I like I'm happy that I'm doing. So it's just yeah, yeah, I don't know.
Like what does rest and recovery look like for you?
Jeez.
Do you
Um,
remember? Do you have any memory of that?
Not really. No. Um, like, I suppose, but like, here's like, I suppose that my weekend away board gaming was kind of that, but also like
Totally, yeah.
I'm
But you
also
were
aware.
tired.
Yes, but I'm also like busy I've got like a full slate of activities and I was like I probably played the most board games out of anyone that time. I was just because I just wanted to play games because I hadn't done it in ages. So like it's not really recovery time, you know, it's still like active, my brain's active. And like I at one point because we like there was in a nice house and I just lay down on a sofa for like 5 minutes later, I was on my phone and I was like doing some work that I needed to do. I was like arranging
Mhm.
some stuff that I needed to arrange, and I was like, motherfucker, you can't help
I like,
yourself.
but you're aware of it, you know?
I
And I think
am.
like being aware of it is probably the first step, right?
It's true. It's true.
It's like I'm aware this is a thing, and then like I think it's always good to acknowledge that you don't know like what the fuck you're doing,
Yeah, yeah. Well, absolutely. I do not ever know what the fuck I'm doing.
right? And then you can build from there.
That's true. I like it.
Uh, so like I don't know. I always think like go to therapy to recover is a good idea,
Yeah.
but I don't feel that you've had good experience with therapists.
Like it's something else I've been chatting about a lot recently. It's like I do like the idea of therapy, but I kind of ran out of I don't know what the goals are here. I mean, I suppose this is not something that I've really kind of talked to therapists about. It was more about, or was it? I think, no. I guess I was more thinking about depression, but like I guess
Mhm.
that is all probably connected in together, to be honest with you.
All of it is, yeah,
Yeah. So like
totally.
I yeah, I don't know. It is something I've thought about, but like I'm also kind of like, where do I find time in my week for therapy? Right? And it's also expensive. Like another thing, therapy is expensive, and that's also then okay. Where do I need to work more? Like and so on and so on. It's like, or what do I sacrifice to like not do that? And like I'm looking forward to a holiday this year. I think that does my mental health a world of good. It is genuinely time when I don't need to do things. I can just relax and I relish. I'm really looking forward to that. I feel like, whenever I came out to see you guys last year, I had, I'd say like 2 or 3 months of just my in great mental health, and I think
Mhm,
so. I think that that's, not a substitute, but I think it's not something I want to lose, certainly, not
mhm.
to get therapy. So I don't know. But it's definitely something I'm considering.
I would, I would, you know, do you have to pay out of pocket?
Yeah, I mean, like, basically, NHS is in crisis mode across the board these days. I think I've talked to you
Yeah,
bit about it before. So, like,
yeah.
I remember like getting the opportunity to do therapy when I was first thinking about this. Geez, 10 years or so ago now. But like now, there's not a chance in hell. Like,
Okay.
I like maybe this is my own biases, but I'm kind of like if. I feel like unless you are actively suicidal or you're at a harm to yourself or others, then they're just not, there's no space for you really at all, which kind of sucks.
Hmm. So I feel like, um, I don't know, like one of my strategies is always avoidance.
Yeah.
So are you good at avoiding dealing with the issue?
Um,
As a coping strategy?
like that's a good question. I feel like I definitely do avoid some things. I think that I do like to actually kind of grapple with some things, but like, you know, this is something where I feel like I'm aware of it. I just feel kind of helpless in the power of it. I don't know, you know. I just don't know what other way to approach it or to kind of, yeah, I don't know.
I will say though, like, look how far you've come.
Oh yeah. I I definitely feel like I'm in a position now where I'm like proud of my achievements and things like that. And, I can, you know, take pride, not to just take pride, but also like kind of go, oh, I am actually capable, I'm competent, I can do things, and like be proud of that and kind of like see my values sometimes, not all the time. Whereas, which I
Mhm.
think is a enormous step forward compared to how I used to be, but like, you know, I still kind of feel locked in this cycle a lot of the time.
Yeah. Well, like, you know, you are you have like you were a little late today because you were waiting for a job to
Yep.
be completed. And it's like, I was like, why'd you take on this job? And you're like, I agreed to it 7 months ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, right. It's like
And
that's
like
totally something I would do. They're like, yeah,
I
in 7 months. Sure.
you'll be fine, yeah. And like, because I have one over the summer that was like last summer they booked in. I was like, sure, but now
Mm,
I have been saying no to other things. But like that's the other thing about it, because like I do have so much on, if then something is running late or for whatever reason, it's like it throws me completely off because like I have such tight windows for doing these things a lot of the time,
yeah.
and it's just like yeah. So it's just
Do you
yeah.
feel like you're living in crisis right now?
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Okay. Fuck,
Absolutely.
man. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. It's kind of like standard for me, I think, sadly.
It is. It
Yeah,
is. But it doesn't have, it's like that's the thing. It's like it doesn't have to, I am proof to, it's like it doesn't have to be. And
yeah,
like
it's true.
it's almost like I am ready to feel a little bit better so that I can start to add things onto my plate so I can be a little more stressed out, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And like see
hooray.
how,
Yeah, yeah.
yay, right? But like um I I do feel like it is a big step to just acknowledge where you're at and be
Yes,
like,
that's true.
yeah, here
It's
I
true.
it's like, am I in crisis? Yes.
Yes, it's true.
100%. There you
It's
go.
true. Yeah, it's so so true. So yeah, so it's just I don't know. It's navigating out of this successfully. I really don't want it to hit like I mean like, I guess there's crisis point, whenever it hits it's like its most extreme level. I don't want it to get there. I don't want to like hit that wall and crash out in whatever shape that may take. I
Yeah.
don't. But like, so it's just I don't know. It's me figuring out how to navigate out of this now. I think So we'll see what happens.
And when in doubt, like just get out of the country.
Yeah, which I'm going to do soon.
I know you are.
Do you? Sorry, I feel like I've been talking about myself for the past
No, it's
friggin' 20 minutes.
good. You
Um,
needed it.
it
This
is.
is therapy. It's
Yay,
free
free therapy.
for
Yay.
free therapy.
Hope you're enjoying listening to our free therapy. Um, so do you want to talk a little bit about your thoughts on this, like in your own sort of life? I know you have a little bit, but like if you've got any sort of other angles or whatever.
I was walking to pick up the kids yesterday and I was what is crisis? What is recovery? Like, and then I was like, yeah, you know, I tend to, how do I deal with it? And it's like I've done, you know, breakups and divorce and health crisis and losing a parent and all those things, but it's like um I'm kind of in this place where I feel stuck. I feel lonely, I guess.
Hmm.
Sometimes I'm bored. I don't know like I guess it's a good thing. Like I've cleared so much out of my way and I've really just focused on being a parent.
Yep,
But now it's like I was talking to my therapist and she's like, you got to figure out who you are outside of parenting
yep,
because you're not going to be a parent with kids in the house. My daughter's 10. So it's
yeah,
like I was thinking this the other day and I started freaking out. I'm like, I only have 8 more years with her. Or
yeah,
maybe her whole life, who knows? Like
exactly. She might be one of those kids that just stays
yeah, right.
forever.
It
Yeah, yeah,
stays
yeah.
forever.
Yeah, Harper might be.
Um, I don't know. I
Yeah,
Charles for sure.
yeah.
But but I don't know. I don't know because I would just fill it with work. So I don't know who I am outside of
Mm,
those things. And I guess that's like freaking me out a little bit and making me sad that I'm what 44 or 45 now and like I haven't figured out like what I enjoy doing other than like, traveling and like
Yeah.
where I'm at right now, like we can't afford much of that, nor can my body do much of that.
Yeah.
And I'm like sad about it.
Yeah. Um, the
And then like I just avoid. So I'm
yeah.
like, okay, well, I'm sad, so I'm gonna look at the news, right? And that's gonna help.
That's gonna help. That's gonna lift my mood.
Yeah.
Um,
Which
I
it's not, it's I don't think it's like I don't know if I'm in crisis, but I'm in
no.
like but I was like, have I had a midlife crisis before?
Mm,
And like I just haven't had, the opportunity because I've been dealing with so much other shit.
it's true. I,
And maybe
like
that's what I'm having right now.
I think that like, what you're talking about in terms of, the idea of like, your interest in likes and trying to like figure that out is not, it takes different shapes, I think, but like it's not entirely uncommon. And I think a lot of people go through that,
No. Yeah.
especially like, I've got many friends who are parents as well, like who definitely have expressed very similar things to me, you know, um, but like, even in terms of what we talked about recently, I think you are conscious of this. You're making steps towards it. I mean, you talked about like getting out to a yoga class for the first time in a long time. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I
So
went
like,
again.
good. See?
Accidentally, it was a candlelight Pilates class with a
Okay.
reformer. And I was
Okay.
like,
Ooh. Uh-oh.
yeah. Yeah. I loved it. It was so fun.
Yeah, I really want to try reformer Pilates. I need to give it a go.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I can't wait reformer
So,
Pilates. That's an interesting combination. Okay. Anyway.
so I, you know, I think I just need to chill the fuck out and like things will come my way
Yeah.
and I need to not force them. And part of it is I have no patience.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I see like I'm not patient with my body, I'm not patient with timing, I'm not patient with um where I think I should be versus where I am. And you know, it's a fucking bummer, but
Yeah. Um, I,
you're
I,
right. I went to yoga class and that
you did
matters.
exactly, and and it's all even these small things that make all the difference. Like, but
Mhm.
like, I know what you mean about patience as well, and like that's whenever you are notice it and you notice the changes that you want to make and the things that you want in your life, it's hard not to like want them right now.
It happened right now.
Yeah,
Like
no,
once you
no,
realize
no.
it, you're like, now, 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 now,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
hurry up,
And
hurry
it's
up, hurry
like,
up. Yeah,
and the frustrating thing is like my body betrays me, right?
yeah,
And it's like, you can't. And I'm like, God damn it, you know?
it's true. It's true.
And that is, my therapist would be like, you can't talk about your body like that.
Yeah, but like,
But
yeah,
it's like, that's where I'm at.
it's also kind of like, and I know what they're saying. I think it's important for your therapist to say that, but it's like,
Yeah.
how much control do you have of your own fucking thoughts? Do you know what I mean? Universally, like I don't really. My thoughts are kind of like it's a crapshoot.
Yes.
It's just about dealing with them as they come and trying
Uh-huh.
not to let them drag you down too much.
Hmm.
But you know, same as like you were talking about for me. I think we are both self-aware enough that we can
Hmm.
kind of see these things and kind of know when
Hmm.
change needs to be made, even
Hmm.
if like we're not altogether successful at doing it sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think acknowledging it is such an important part of the battle, so
Yeah.
and you are making changes. Same way I'm
Yeah.
like trying, but like, we'll see. We'll see how it goes,
And like
right?
just give yourself like an hour on a Wednesday to like
No, it's
put
impossible.
your phone down and lay in the grass.
Well, this is why my phone lives outside of my room. It has to, like, it's just a torture device. But yeah,
It's a torture
it is a torture
device.
device. I fucking hate it. I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. Do you have anything else you want to talk about, or shall we move on to, more delightful part of our episode?
Mm, I guess I just think it's okay to be in crisis and not have it be like a big thing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes.
like give yourself permission to be like things aren't okay,
So true.
in this way in my life. And like once you start looking at it like in that way, then all of humanity benefits.
This is so true, and a lovely way to end things off.
Yeah.
Um, Okay. In that case, Beth, would you like to tell everybody what's been bringing you joy this week in the face of all this crisis?
So sh TV.
Yeah, okay, I love it.
So I started, it's on Apple, I think. It's called Friends and Neighbors with
Mhm.
John Hamm
Oh yeah, I've
and
heard about
Amanda
this.
Peet.
Hmm.
And so we watched the first episode and I love it. I love it. Like it's basically like this guy that like works for the stock market or whatever. Is like a bill like a stock whatever, Fortune 500 guy, who knows. But he makes a lot of money. He loses his job. His wife, has an affair and she's like with I might be frozen.
Oh
Okay.
no, got you back, got you back, got you back.
Okay, good. Anyways, sorry everybody who's watching on video. So it's a great show. I thought the pacing would be slower,
Hmm.
and it's actually very like for the fact that because a lot of times dramas are very slow and it's not like it moves very quickly, which I appreciate. So I highly recommend it.
I yeah, it did look great. I've got to say, there's so much good stuff on Apple at the minute. It is one of the other things that kind of stresses me in
It's
a
like
fucked
all the
up.
good TV.
Yes, there's so much that I want to watch. The Last of Us season 2 started, which I'm dying to see. Um, one of the shows I am going to talk about today, like as my joy,
Once you
is
see
starting.
it, talk well, we might need to
Like
talk.
I know what's going to happen because
You
I
know what
played the games.
happens?
Yes, I
Okay. I did
because
not. And I
yeah,
was like,
right.
why didn't Andy? I was like, why the fuck didn't Andy warn me?
I am not telling anybody about what happens there because it's
I
not.
don't think I can watch the rest of it.
Okay, fair enough. It is like it's so like I let me tell you, whenever like you play it in the video game, you're like, oh, holy
It
shit.
was like the Red Wedding in
Yes, it is.
Game of Thrones,
Yep,
floppy wieners. Like,
yep. So yeah,
so
so there you
yeah.
go. Anyway, we'll not talk about too
Episode
much of it.
two.
I
I
know.
couldn't.
But
Okay.
it happens right at the start of the second game as well, which is kind of mind blowing. You're kind of like, whoa. But like it's
Mike's like, no way.
yeah, no,
Oh, I
no.
guess and then he Googled and he was like, the first thing that came up, like, does blank really blank? And it was like, he was like, okay. And I
It's
was like,
such
now we need to watch an episode of The Studio so I can laugh and feel better.
yes.
You have to watch The Studio. If you want to feel
Yeah, I
better,
know.
watch The
Okay, okay.
Studio.
I'll get on the case. I so the thing that's been bringing me joy. I've only seen about the first episode is but I'm so thrilled it's back. Is I've talked to you about Nathan Fielder before,
Yes.
who did Nathan for You and things like that. So his second
Yes.
season of his show called The Rehearsal has just started.
I saw that.
I'm so
I saw that it
excited it's
popped up last
back.
night and I was like,
Oh,
this is familiar. Why?
so excited it's
Okay,
back
I will
because
totally watch it.
it just gets the most insane. So like the first season was, the whole setup was it that he set up scenarios for people to
Mhm.
rehearse like conversations they didn't want to have and things of that nature. But this second one is kind of about I think plane crashes and things like that, and like he finds out that there's no budget for these companies to like research how people act in these situations. So he's like, "Oh, I've got an HBO show. Can I do this for you?" So I'm really thrilled to see because it's always like the kind of layers upon layers upon layers of insanity that show builds never feels like that he builds in all of his shows never fail to surprise me, and it's always just a sheer delight. So yeah, I'm so excited it's back. But yeah, so the rehearsal.
I know what
Um,
I'm going to do with my free time today.
hell yeah, that's a
You need to
better.
watch The Studio.
Okay, I will. I'll try and watch the studio
It's
episode
like
tonight as
the
well.
first episode is the longest episode, then the other ones are like 25 to 30 minutes.
Okay, okay. I'll try and
So,
watch them tonight because like I have a bit of free time. Don't tell anybody. Well, maybe we'll see how it goes.
shh.
Shh.
Okay. That's why we record and then post this like weeks later. Ha
Exactly,
ha!
exactly, exactly.
Fooled everyone.
I know. Um, right. Okay. So shall we? We'll just wrap up this episode, folks. Beth, can you tell everybody where they can find us?
You can find us at bendypodcast.com, on your local favorite Spotify,
All of the
channels,
above.
YouTube, everywhere. We're
Yeah,
all over the place.
exactly. All right,
And people
nice.
are on our website. So thanks for checking us out
Yeah,
and looking at our stupid pictures of travel.
we appreciate it.
Goofy faces. Yes.
All right, nice. Okay, in that case, we've come to the end of another episode. So as always, folks, we'd like to remind you to
Stay
bendy.
trendy. It always feels cathartic. Love you
It does. Love
guys.
you. Bye bye.
Have a good week. Bye, bye, bye.